Welcome to More Than Management, your go-to podcast for all things talent management. In each episode, we talk with masterminds behind some of the biggest names in music, sports, fashion, and television. We learn the art of brand building, high-stake negotiations, and maintaining a celebrity public image. I'm your host, Ntando Zigalala, and you're invited to the conversation. My name is Ntando Zigalala, and I am your host. Today's guest is the founder of a thriving agency which describes itself as the oasis for African creatives, and I'm so excited to have her here. It is Sibu Mabena.
Hi! Finally!
Finally.
My goodness.
Finally. How many times have we had this conversation?
I see that. Just the fact that you told me about the thought and now it's actually happening. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you for reaffirming my ideas and my vision. I remember when I spoke to you about it, you were like, that is a great idea.
Absolutely. It's about time someone has this conversation.
And I'm like, Sibu Mabena endorses this. Sharp.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming through. I mean, your catalog of who you've taken care of is incredible. From the likes of Jessica Nkosi, Mihlali Ndamase, Bonko, like your list is endless. Somizi, Dalu Busy Girl.
Yeah, it's been a while of doing this. And just how I got into it wasn't really intentional. It became a consequence of relationships and the fact that I have such solid, good friendships with some of these people that you mentioned, that it became a kind of a natural progression for us as Duma Collective at the time, and then now a new agency to become management to all these people who had so much to offer the industry.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yes.
So where did you grow up? Who did you grow up with? Tell us about Sibu Mabena the kid.
Oh my God, who did I grow up with? You know, funny, by the time this airs, it would have been a while, but yesterday I was actually with my best friend, Mandisa, who's Durban Gogo, and her mom, who was with my mom in varsity in Germany.
Really?
Yeah, so her mom came to visit my mom, and it's like, wow, these people have been friends since they were in university, which is insane. Crazy. And now I've been friends with Mandisa for 31 years.
32?
Yeah.
31 years, that is a strong friendship.
I'm 8 months older than her, right?
Really?
So that's to say that I'm a child of a MK veteran, my dad, Obi Mabena, and a government employee, my mom, Leah Madalane. And the two of them made me this creative, free, outspoken child who was allowed to do cool things like dancing whilst being encouraged to be really good in my academics. And the dancing thing is really what landed me here, because I went into ballet, I did tap, I did jazz, I did contemporary dancing. And at some point in high school, I was put into an art school at Pro Arte in Pretoria. And my speciality was dance. And then I was part of the South African hip hop dance team where we were competing overseas. And then I started a dance crew called Fly Nation, and we got to compete in the streets. And through that, I was able to then find myself in other dance crews like the repertoires. Fun fact, I was part of the repertoires.
That is so cool. I didn't know that you were part of the repertoires. So we're from the same era.
Yes.
That era. When you're from the repertoire era, only if you were there do you know.
Yes,
you know?
You just had to be there.
You had to be there.
And it was that.
I remember Fly Nation as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
An all-girl dance crew.
And then there was Clinch Entertainment, Clinch Crew. There
Correct.
was, and we actually, funny enough, when I was doing your research, I was like, oh my word, Masters of Rhythm. Yes,
Correct.
I remember this era.
That was us, Mama.
That was us, yeah.
I mean, being in that space of working with artists, working with brands, working with dancers and other creatives, I think connecting the dots between all of them is how a Duma Collective came to be. And yeah, it's that kid who was just curious, energetic, excited, and friendly to a lot of people who has now manifested into this Sibu Mabena person that still connects the dots between different people and brands and entities and companies to just come up with really cool things and make sure everybody gets paid for it.
That is beautiful. Do you still dance today?
No.
At all?
No, it's I don't have time. 1, 2, eyes old now. My bones are tired and weary.
I said not even.
No, it's okay. You know, like we're still learning from other people. Like, okay, this is the dance today, and then tomorrow there's a new dance. I say, I can't do this anymore.
Give up.
No, it's all right. I'm here. I'm clapping for everybody and enjoying watching them do the
Who did you look up to when you were growing up?
You know, if you ask me who do I look up today, who do I look up to today, it's you. So I'm really happy to be sitting here. Thank you very much. Growing up, the Losha Coopers of the world, Laurie Ann Gibson in the US, she was a great choreographer doing incredible dance direction type things for big artists. And I really saw myself doing that, being a dance director, being a creative director. Frank Gatson, who was Beyonce's creative director. And I put myself in the shoes of the people who were really revered as far as South African creativity was concerned, being in the boardrooms with the big brands like Miller. So I think my first management opportunity was managing a group of dancers in the form of the Miller Dance Crew and like gathering really great professional choreographers and dancers and packaging us into something that was palatable to corporate South Africa. And from Miller, where we were doing the Kendrick Lamar 360 tour, and being on tour with artists like Stogie T and Reason and Cooley and them, we were then given opportunities to do other things for Flying Fish and for Brutal Fruit and Reds and all of these brands in the SAB stable. And I saw there, would say, here, behind the scenes is actually where it's at. With the SAMA Awards, the MTV-based Africa Music Awards, the Glow CAF Awards in Nigeria, the SAFTAs, we were given an opportunity by a company called VWV, which are a big production agency. They've done the World Cup. They've done like all sorts of things. And Jay, Kayembe, and myself kind of being the managers of the dance troupe really showed me, okay, this behind the scenes thing where you're negotiating on behalf of talent really has some value to it. I don't always have to be the one on stage. I don't always have to be the one being celebrated. I can actually assist talent to get to that place. So yeah, it's been a really cool journey and so many things have come from that.
Yeah, I mean, you're a woman who wears a lot of hats, right? A lot of people would say that you're celebrated or you're known for Duma Collective, which is a creative agency, and you're the CEO and the founder for that, right? But today we have you in this chair specifically for management because that forms part of the pillars of what Duma Collective was about, or I guess Sibu Mabena, right? And I think it's an interesting perspective that we're sort of sitting here today just to speak on that journey particularly and for you to just reflect on where you come from and all of how all of that has contributed, you know? So when you look at your journey growing up and all the experiences that you had, how would you say, what is the most fundamental experience that has contributed to who you are today and you as a manager?
Sure. I'd say a very interesting thing that happened to me, I think, was getting out of South Africa for the first time. I was 10 years old and Mandisa, bestie, had moved to France because her mom had become the ambassador to France at the time. And my dad said, it would be good for you to go and experience something outside of this country. At 10 years old, he had the foresight to really hustle to just buy me a plane ticket because at least accommodation was sorted. I have now the experience of getting a visa and all of that. Yeah. And, being in France where what was so... it's a moment that I think is so incredible and obviously can't be recreated because a Miriam Makeba was staying in the house with us.
Oh, wow.
Right? As a South African who was visiting France at the time, I mean, the embassy or the home of the ambassador was kind of home to a lot of the South Africans who would come there. And she took us to Disneyland, for example. I got to go to Disneyland with Miriam Makeba because she was staying at my best friend's house in France. Yeah. That kind of thing is a memory that stays in my mind because of the things I was exposed to. Being able to be with such a legendary artist in the morning having breakfast, like I'm eating cornflakes and she's having bread. Yeah. And it's that...
Did that all make sense for you though when you were 10 years old?
Not then, but it does now. To say talent is human at the end of the day, no matter how legendary they are. I mean, this is my Miriam Makeba. And I think that exposure at 10 years old then started kind of a snowball effect of other different experiences where now as a dancer, part of the South African hip hop dance team, and I think I was 13 or something the first time that we went to compete in Germany with my dance troupe then. Now I'm in Germany, able to travel with my friends who I love, who I'm spending every day after school with training and be able to see things and meet people. And all of this is brought to us because of dancing. We are with dancers from Poland, dancers from Italy, the US, and the common thing between us is that we love to dance. And then seeing the big productions and how things are organized and how things are run and the judging process and just thousands of kids who love to dance and look really cool and are dancing to hip hop music. I think that planted the seed for the big type of productions that I get involved in. The kind of brand exposure. I mean, Red Bull was activating as far back as then, and come back to South Africa and you're like, wow, I want this for my people. I want to be part of something that gives the experience I've had to my people. So a Duma Collective is really born off of having this exposure and this experience working with different types of talent and being exposed to different types of events and places and brands and wanting that for my people. That's it.
Yeah. I love that. That's beautiful. In the beginning phases of it all, it's very tough. It's very difficult, no matter how much experience or exposure you have, right? Who would you say is the kindest person? Who's the kindest person to you?
There have been so many. There have really been so many. If I were to name them, and I'm so sorry if I haven't listed someone, but like Jay Kayembe, from taking me out of Masters of Rhythm and putting me into his world of like cool brand activations. There's a Refilo Ramokase who put me onto Maftown Heights and allowed me to intern. There's a Zaz boy, aka Mahlatis Tole, who actually brought me into Maftown Heights to meet a Refilo. There's my dance teacher, Annette Mnyande, one of the most incredible human beings you'll ever meet in your life. And she really taught me a lot about being an organized individual and having structure to things, running a dance studio where there's hundreds of kids and hundreds of parents and hundreds of invoices, that kind of thing. As serious. A young person, you kind of pick up a couple of things. Eunice Murray, she actually was behind me invoicing, or not even invoicing, but making money as a 16-year-old, because she allowed me to be a trainer and choreographer to a team of 24 kids where I was getting paid probably 10 Rand an hour per child, but we're rehearsing for 3 hours a day for weeks on end. And I was able to collect cash money in the thousands of rands because Eunice Murray contributed to that. There's so many individuals. Jean Dimitri van Dijk, who gave me my job at MTV. And actually put us on from a social media perspective to say, I see you're running some really cool thing. I want some of that sauce on my campaigns come through. Shaka Sisulu, who let me run Plum Factory, which was a social media agency, and him and Che and Muyikwa just allowed me to flourish in learning how to be an ops manager. But then when they saw that Duma Collective is actually becoming a thing, they allowed me to use my office, at a very, very nominal rate. And they said, build your company out of here. And when you're ready, you'll be able to go out on your own. Casper and Tilly letting me come on to fill up. Them being so trusting of the experience that I'm going around collecting outside. And they say, hey, come through. We may not be able to pay you a lot of money, but because we trust you and you're going to add value, let's build this thing together. I could name a million people. There's blessed. So many. Yeah. I really have been majorly blessed, and my kitchen cabinet of people that I have to thank in a book I write one day is long.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's such a grateful experience. Like when you look back and you can list such a long list of people that are that are kind to you. It's not something that is common, especially somebody who's moving from being a freelancer and then you start your own business.
Absolutely.
So tell me how the first 30 days of you officially registering Duma Collective, what does that really look like? Now it's happening. You can dream of something.
Yeah.
Now it's serious. Now it's
a podcast.
Yeah, now it's a podcast.
It's gone from an idea to an actual podcast.
You're living it.
Yeah.
Tell me about the first 30 days. How does that go?
Okay, so I started with Duma Communications. Okay. That was in 2014, and that was me registering a company so that I could invoice. So I was already working as a freelancer, and people were paying money into my bank account. And I had a chance encounter with someone who's an accountant, and he was just talking about, the implications of tax on freelancers and how much more expensive it is, and it would be better to register a company and just present yourself as a professional organization. People don't have to know that it's a company of one.
Yeah.
People don't have to know.
I'm doing, we're just speaking to accounts.
Yes, not today it's accounts. Tomorrow I'm business development. The next day,
PA also.
Absolutely. I'm all savor. And it didn't matter to me that, I'm competing, so to speak, against like big established companies. For me, it was really about myself and what I'm setting out to do, which is to be a professional creative. And with that, registering with Duma Communications, my next thing was to find someone to do an email address for me. So Melanie Ramji had a friend called Mpho, and Mpho was able to register a domain for me. And I was like, okay, cool. So that's done. So Melanie Ramji was someone who was kind to me to offer me these kind of networks. So fine, now it's to have a website. I found a graphic designer. I said, hey, create this thing.
This is all within 30 days. This is what you're doing in the first 30 days.
Day to day. And remember, guys, we have 24 hours in a day. So there's a lot that can take place in 30 days. Because whilst that was happening, I'm working on a project. I'm a researcher for a documentary that was taking place that was being done on the Gauteng legislature and its 20 years of existence. And it was being done by Global Access, which is a company I used to do voiceovers for.
Oh, nice.
Right? Yeah. So all of the small things are now starting to come together to become a thing. So I have a website. I have to write things about us and what we do.
The mission.
And the mission. All of those things that you're
values.
Just
what do you stand for?
What do you mean? I do dancing. That's what I do. I do creative direction. I do events. I do social media. So it was to be able to refine all of this and find a way to package it into something that would make sense to someone who's going to buy. But whilst that's happening, I'm a bartender at the Sands. Whilst that's happening, I'm at Tux doing...
Were you still bartending?
Absolutely.
When you started Duma?
I bartended for 3 years when I was doing Duma, right?
Yeah.
And with that, it was because the opportunities to invoice were just so many.
Yeah. So
the company really came off of
You were maximizing your 24 hours, my
to
girl.
the max.
Ha!
Do you see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
So it is to have a company folder on my Google Drive that says company documents, my CIPC document, my tax clearance, my BE affidavit, and a company profile, so that when I'm given an opportunity to come onto the vendor supplier list of a company like MTV, where Jean Dimitri gave me an opportunity, I was ready to meet that opportunity. Duma Collective being registered in 2017 was really off of the back of branding. Duma became a very difficult name for people to say or remember. So now they want to say, oh, get this agency. But now they're saying, get Sibu and her team, right? And it's like, no, I can't be Sibu and her team.
Yeah, so the marketing in you kicked in.
And it was just like, okay, I have to find a name that people are going to remember. And I don't know, I was just like thinking about it. Eventually Duma Collective came off of a really random thought. And I registered it because I have the experience of registering my first company. So all of those lessons learned, now I'm just repeating to do it. So branding with a graphic designer, registering a bank account, getting tax clearance done, BE affidavit, and then the job of moving the clients that I had on Duma over to Duma Collective. But also because now we're a big team, we're a bigger team, moving the employees from Duma's contracts to Duma Collective's contracts, etc. So the point is, the first 30 days of starting the company were as a result of me just doing the admin, but the work was already happening.
Yes, it was already in the process. Things were moving. Yeah. Okay. So now, I remember when what I thought was the launch of Duma Collective, right? What we saw front facing, you know, you come out with a catalog, with a roster of talents. Who had you signed? What were the conversations like? You call people up, you're like, this is what I'm doing. They already obviously trust you. They have a friendship with you. They love you, you know. Who's your starting lineup? You're like, and
it was the reintroduction. Allow me to reintroduce myself. So it was all very well orchestrated, I think. It was a God timing thing, quite serendipitous in that as Duma is happening, I'm posting about it on social media. You know, people are still caring that Sibu is running a business. It doesn't matter what the name is at the time. So they're seeing my access to brands. They're seeing my access to events. They're seeing my access to other people of influence. And I had worked with some of these people before in different iterations, and how they came to be clients of Duma Collective was because of the experience they've had with me before. Reason, we had worked together on the Kendrick Lamar 3 City Tour, on Mathtown Heights, on many different events where we're booking Reason to come in and work. And alongside his DJ, Akio, who was also his manager, Akio was changing direction. He wanted to start his agency, or actually focus on his agency. I think it was called Cool Out at the time. And he wanted to be less consumer facing, where a Reason wants to continue being on stage, etc. So Akio and Reason actually approached me together to say, yo, dog, we see you're busy, you know, you could be someone who could take on this management thing. That was literally my first management client to say, please, can you do this thing for us? Said, okay, cool, sounds like...
So it wasn't even like really your idea. It sort of happened to you.
It happened to me. It's a consequence of the relationship. So that was Reason. And then because Lute kind of started seeing what Reason was getting from us, then Lute asked us to take on her account. A Snare who was dancing with us back when we were doing the Miller stuff and all of the summers, etc. I really took a liking to her like a sister. I said, yo, let me just handle some of your stuff, like some of your admin. There was a .com who was singing and also like getting into the influencer space. So we were able to do some stuff for him. And I think that was the first group of people.
Yeah.
And then more and more people joined, and it just became a natural progression of relationship and opportunity. Actually, I've lied. PH was the first person I managed.
Really?
And with PH, it was because I was doing something as an agency to Cast a Light. And I needed him, or I pitched him as a DJ to do 30 events. Now, these 30 events in December needed to be very organized.
Yeah.
And I can't have PH taking other gigs whilst my 30 gigs are happening.
Now you're going...
So I said, PH,
manager's diary.
I've got this thing, right, these gigs, but let me just take over the other bookings so that they don't clash with these ones. That's actually how we got to managing PH. What a story. And I mean, fast forward almost 10 years later, with lockdown, we were able to do lockdown house parties together. Yeah. And then today we're able to work on Paula together. So it's been a very long, extended relationship. And with PH, I know him because he was a DJ at the Sands when I was a bartender at the Sands. Wow. So it's, like I say, consequence of relationships. So fine. Then Snare.com, Lute, Reason, at some point, Somizi and his manager also approached me because they were going in different directions, and it was a conversation between the both of them to me to say, hey, you've worked with us on campaign X and campaign Y. Would you be interested in taking on the Somizi account? And I absolutely said, yes, it's Somizi. I've looked up to him my whole life. I mean, I mentioned Losha, but alongside of Losha was a Somizi, And now I get to work with this legendary artist who comes from a dance background. He choreographed the World Cup, bro. Yes. And now I get to manage him? That's insane. And to this day, we're still together. And it's the relationship has taken on a different form. It's not necessarily a management relationship, but a business relationship. Then a Questa came through. Again, a manager and artist conversation to manager. And it became a collaboration with his existing bookings manager, who was Masilo and still is. And it was that, yo, could you take on my account? Because, Leroy and we're going in different directions. So can we do this thing? And Leroy was really, really friendly and, kind about it, because any information that I needed, Leroy was able to help me with that. And then Jessica Nkosi, who's my best friend, and was like, you want to manage everyone except me. How can you do this to me?
How is that possible?
And it just happened. And then I'm managing my best friend with Mihlali. There was someone who was trying to help her with her stuff and then introduced her to me. And it took a while, actually. I think about 6 or 8 months, where I was like, okay, let me get my house in order and then let's see if we can do this thing, because I've never managed an influencer. And then it happened and we had a really successful relationship. Bongo Koza approached because he was working on The Wife. We were agency to MultiChoice and we were doing some cool things in the PR space. So it also became a relationship. He said, yo, can you please help me out? Just help me manage all of this new fame that I'm now walking into, because he's on The Wife, and then he was on an Amazon show, and then he was on a Netflix show, and then he was on an SABC show. And it was just a lot happening for him, and he trusted us because of the way we treated him when we were doing the rollout for The Wife. So there's just been those kind of talent-led business relationships that have been born off of friendships and, that kind of thing.
Very long-term relationship. What's your secret to maintaining such long-term relationships? Artist-manager relationships are not always so long-term.
Yep.
For you to have gone 10 years with some of your artists, what's your secret?
I think it's first and foremost honesty. You really have to be honest with the people that you're working with about everything, about you as the person on the other end of the business relationship, to say, this is where I'm at as a human being. I'm running an agency first and foremost. I have big FMCG and other corporate clients that I've got to really pay attention to, because Duma Collective exists because of them. We're doing the talent management thing because it makes sense to the ecosystem. However, it cannot be at the cost of the bread and butter, which is, the corporate clients. Also, these are the opportunities I have. I'm not God in this marketing industry of South Africa, Africa, and the world. There's only so much I can do. And this is where my limitations go to, but here's what I can do. And what I don't know, I'm going to go out and ask, and I hope you give me the permission to do so. And then also, I suppose the transparency, because there's being honest, and then there's being transparent about things. To say, money, this is where we're at with the money. You haven't invoiced this month, or we haven't gotten a booking for you, or when we try to get bookings, this is what the industry is saying to us. Or we're too expensive, we need to maybe reconsider our rates. Or we're too cheap, maybe we need to reconsider our rates. Also, just how you're showing up as a talent and performing, you're making it hard for us to be able to get you work. So that's the transparent side of things. I would also say caring. These are human beings that we're working with. These are people's lives and careers that they're entrusting to you. And I suppose as someone who is a partner to them, to help them self-actualize, to help them really make the money that they need to survive, you've got to see them as human beings you care about, because they rely on you for that. It's like how you would care about your sister or your brother. So there's that. And then there's also just... I think the thing that comes with being a manager is being a hunter and being deliberate and intentional about making money for people. It can't just be that, you've signed this person and that's that. You actually have to now convert. Okay, we've signed you, but here's now where the hard work starts. It's not in the contract negotiation. It's not in us discussing what the relationship will be. It's in generating a revenue for said artist. So it's those things where a lot of the things that I see today is some of these relationships fall apart because people are not honest with each other.
So it's such an important factor to have trust, to be honest with self and honest with your talent and honest with the business. Here's a trick question that a lot of people struggle with. Do you think talent is enough?
No.
What else do you need?
Discipline. There's a saying that hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. And there are many people who can sing. Many people who can dance. Many people who can perform. Many people who can act. Many people who can create content to be influencers. But what trumps person A from person B is the level of intentionality behind what they do, the amount of hard work they put into what they do, and I think just how determined they are to succeed. So often I ask artists or talent to say, do you want to be famous? Because there's a difference between a creative who just wants to create and let the work go out into the world and, do its thing, and it flourishes the way it does or doesn't. And a creator who wants to be a star. And I think in the stars is where the money's at. And then we've got to then go into the next level of the conversation to say, what is the objective with what we're doing? Are we trying to make money, or are we just trying to put work out? Because there's a difference to that too. So
also impact and purpose.
What is the impact that you want to make? What purpose are you trying to serve? What thing are you trying to fulfill within yourself? Do you know yourself enough to understand why you're doing this? Because you could also be an accountant, eh? Maybe you're really smart. You just happen to also have a creative thing that is able to generate a revenue for you. But do you actually want to do this for money and for impact?
So between you and your talent and your artist, right? How do you guys define success? Like, what is your measurement of success?
So I'll give you an example with one of the talents we just signed recently. It's to say, this is what we've put on our sheet, on our paper, to say we're going out to achieve A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And for me, success is when we achieve those things. It's not being tweeted about and trending. It's not that your song it debuted at #1 on the DSPs when we launched. Unless that was a KPI for us, that doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, when we sit down and we're in Strat, and by the way, this is only something I've learned recently, because I'm applying what we do with our corporate clients into what we're doing with our human clients, our management clients, to say, when a brand has certain KPIs such as reach, conversion, engagement, all of those metrics, if as an agency, the plan we've put in place does not achieve those things, we failed. We're not successful. The same principle applies to talent. To say, guys, we said we're going to launch our rollout plan for your music includes visuals, an album delivered to the DSPs on time, a lyric book, a PR run, and bookings. If we're not successful in achieving those things, we're unsuccessful.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Essentially, and it's the entertainment business.
Yes.
Once you unlock that, you really have unlocked the formula. What is the most rewarding moment in your management success where you're just like, oh my word, that was so good?
Ooh, there've been quite a few.
Tell us two.
I mean, okay, I'll say it, from a very sentimental perspective. There's a talent who lost a really close relative, and the first call was to us for us to help. And we ended up arranging the entire event of the send-off celebration. And it was such a dignified and beautiful celebration of life, to the point that a number of that inspired a lot of how people do things today, one. But two, there is also, some commercial benefit that has come from that.
Yeah.
And I know it's a really awkward thing to say that someone is benefiting off of someone's loss. No, it's the way things were put together and how it was presented and how it was packaged. The intention behind it is now creating a legacy that's going to benefit, all the children of that family. You know what I mean? So that, for me, where we're creating long-lasting commercial benefits for a family is such a cool thing, even though it came off of such a sad occasion. On the other hand, I would say being able to see an artist become a business in and of themselves, where over the couple of years that we've worked together, they were learning and picking up certain things and certain ways to do things. And then they have the ability to stand and say, okay, I can do it on my own now. That, for me, is success, to say, fly, birdie, fly, because we are here supporting you and we're here to continue to pour into your career. So it's been that on the extreme ends of the spectrum, and all the stuff in between is really every single month when we've had to send a report to a talent and pay them their money.
Yeah.
That's
the best
for
part.
me.
That's like
here's the money you worked hard for.
This is what we did.
Yes, I love that.
I mean, for you, like I said at the beginning, you wear many hats, right? You are a CEO of, you handle corporate businesses, and then this side you handle personal business, right? Personal business is personal.
Yes.
So how have you strategically approached or strategically managed when somebody's personal life becomes a something that affects the business, something that affects the job that we're all here to do? Now we're all gathered here as discusser. Yeah. How have you what's your strategic approach to that? How have you strategically managed situations like that?
The kitchen cabinet.
Is that what you call your network?
Yes.
I love it.
The kitchen cabinet. I'm opening here today.
Sugar. Yeah, pantry. Yeah, I love it.
It's that as individuals, everything we go through, we think we're the first to go through something, right? So even as a manager, when you are going through something, because you take on the yoke of your talent, you're like, yo, we're going through this thing together. I know you're the one trending on social media right now, but it's me and you in this. The kitchen cabinet comes to the party where you consult with people you trust who would never use that information against you, or the person that you're working with, to say, when you went through something like this with the person you work with, how did you deal with it? Or solid legal advice to say, okay, but this one is a legal case. Let me get lawyers involved. We're not releasing statements that don't have some kind of legal look through, and no case has been the same and no case has been anticipated. There's also
You never see it coming.
You don't.
No, Saturday, Lala, you out there, lunch, brunch.
How is my person trading?
Phone yakhala the end. Before you know it, it's Wednesday.
Bro, there was a day I had 3 people trending at the same time.
Oh, shucks.
Yo, lanya lingwa. Lanya lingwa. And with that, it was just so sobering because you can experience so much success with people over an extended period of time until you are reminded real things happen. So it has been a very solid kitchen cabinet that advises, and then communicating with the people to say, Fitzy, what happened?
Yeah.
What's the real tea?
And let's just say I come to you and I tell you the story and you're just like, have you ever been in a moment where you're like, this is the 3rd time, 4th time this has happened? No. I think I'm done.
No, you see with that, you take on the position of humanity. With the human beings are flawed. It doesn't matter how successful you are in one thing. On the other hand, you really could have that thing that just dribbles you, right? It's just like our lived experience. You can have so much success in your business life. Things are really in shambles, but you show up every single day as if everything is balanced and okay, right? I mean, there was a time with one of the talents where they were going through such a difficult time in their relationship. And I was supposed to be very sober-minded about it, to say, how does this, beyond it affecting your home life and your family and the emotional side of things, your mental health, how can I show up for you in a way that doesn't require you to think about the business side of things? Because that's also so taxing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cover on this side when I cover on this side. And for me, it's always been from a position of privilege where we've had honest relationships.
Yeah.
Honest engagements where we know what the truth is. I've been accused of many different things, of siding with people where the perception or the bigger picture on social media looks one way, but because I know the truth, I was there, I understand what's going on, I have a different stance. I'm the unpopular opinion loud hailer, and I've had to also showcase to the talent, I got your back because this is the truth. But if there was a lie, which I haven't experienced so far, if there was a lie, then the truth in me or the values that I stand on would dictate that I now come out with the actual truth. So everything I've ever defended, everything I've stood on the other side on has been backed by what I know to be true.
To be facts.
And what I know to be facts and the POV that I have, because many things can be true at the same time as well.
So now there's the what I would call the challenging part of knowing the truth. There's public perception and then there's clients.
Yeah.
So now the clients are like, this is what's happening. This is what we've heard. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
Sibu. Everything in you, I would assume, wants you have to sort of tell them the truth. Look, actually, just take me through the process. Like, how do you manage the client in this entire process? Like, I can hear how you're managing the talent and you're there for them emotionally and you're supporting them. I can hear how you're doing it from a manager's perspective for yourself and in the business and the team. Now the clients are like, now your phone is ringing in this. You've got contracts, long-term contracts. You've got actual people to answer to, your bottom lines, who have a very big clause in the contract.
Yeah.
About persona.
About non-disrepute.
Yes.
Do not bring the brand into disrepute.
Exactly.
And cancellation clauses.
Yes.
Right. For any reason whatsoever. With no warning. Those are the terms. That's the reality. Put into contracts. And this word relationship is so important because in its definition, it is how you relate to people. So the relating comes from the establishment of the relationship, to say, in the beginning when you solicited talent A, and we met you at the table and we had the conversation about this is what we want to achieve together as partners, brand A, brand B, work together to do this to the market because you are the most fitting person as a talent to help us achieve our objective and reach the audience that we want to reach. That's part one of the relationship building. To say, this is who I am, this is who you are as a brand. Do we agree on what we're doing here? Cool. Part two, when a crisis happens, a crisis can be a small thing, like, oh, I tweeted the wrong thing, tagged the wrong brand. Or crisis can be a really, really big thing where there's all sorts of accusations being made and the law is being brought into question, etc. It is that the same laughs and smiles we were having at the table when we signed the contract in the beginning. Let's come back to the table, guys. Akere, you are my brand partner. I'm your brand partner. Help us figure this out together because here's my side of the story. And you as my brand partner, what assessment do you make of the situation? And if we're able to kind of meet in the middle and have an understanding, then we go to war together. Because at the end of the day, if I fail, you flop too as the brand.
Essentially.
And I think that's where the transactional relationships fall apart very quickly. You see, we would see, these ones were just in it for kamina kawena, rather than a brand partnership. It's a partnership at the end of the day. And if that is understood from the beginning, then you'll see less and less of brands releasing statements about distancing themselves from certain talents because things have happened. How many times have we seen brands have to now kind of put their tails between their legs because they reacted too quickly to what Twitter was saying? Or would see talent X gets accused of something by talent Y or a person Y, and then Twitter makes a trend, then a brand panics, then a statement is released, and then 2 months down the line, the law says, but here's what happened. This wasn't true. Now it's awkward because you cancelled this person based off of what Twitter said, based off of the court of public opinion. So brands and talents need to enter into partnerships that make sense, and for the duration of the contract says, yo, I got your back if you got mine.
We don't call you the fixer for nothing.
Thanks.
What is the biggest disaster management that you've had to sort of get in the forefront of, and what is the biggest lesson that you've taken from that experience?
Disaster. Disaster is such a big word. I'd say challenge.
Challenge.
I've had many of those, from talents missing flights to
that could have
other countries, to being threatened, to being sued because of cancellations, to a talent just not waking up. She's not going. He's not going. Doesn't want to do it. To talent breaking up with partner or fighting with partner in the group. You understand? Or talent falling pregnant mid-campaign. And it's like, bro, we got to shoot a cover of a magazine. And as far as the story is concerned, there's no baby in your stomach. So now how do you bring the publication into your confidence? I mean, they are media at the end of the day. And now you whisper them this little detail that nobody else knows, and you really have to trust it's not going to leak because your talent has entrusted you with this really sensitive part of their lives that they don't want the public to know about. But at the same time, we've got to get this thing done, and they really want to do it. So it's like, yo, is there no way for us to just lie about it and, try to find a way to style our way out of it in the clothing? So there's all of those things that just problem solving is at the forefront. Apart from business development and brand building, problem solving is one of those things that you really just have to have a knack for, or the experience or the network to be able to help you do it. Otherwise, in talent management, you're really gonna suffer, because one thing about human beings, intentional or not, the problems will be there. So I can't say what's the one big disaster. There've just been many.
That's what you do. Problem solve every single day. What do you enjoy most about being a brand manager?
Making money for them, with them. There's one legacy client that we have that were just so excited to celebrate how much they've been able to achieve over 30 years and the excitement of what they're going to be able to achieve in the next 30 years and what it's going to do for their children, for their families, for their legacies. So it's in being able to contribute to them realizing those visions of not being artists who die poor. And that's why I say making money, because, they say money is the root of all evil. However, I believe that the ability to do things with the money that you make can really generate so much positivity and so much inspiration for people, and to showcase to artists who are brand new to the industry today. In these artists' 30-year celebration, there's someone that's starting today for the first time to say, in 30 years' time, I want to be able to achieve XYZ because group A or B was able to achieve XYZ. So it is making money for artists that really gives me so much joy.
Do you believe that every artist needs a manager?
Absolutely. 100%. Because artists, granted, they're as human as the next person. Granted, they shouldn't really be treated differently to other people who do other more traditional, jobs. I think artists spend so much of their capacity as human beings creating that there's a need for someone else to think about all of the more left brain things, like the admin, like the invoicing, like the accounting behind things, like the business development, because we really can't expect any one human being to be everything to themselves and to the world. So I do believe that management, especially solid management that is able to take care of the difficult, or not difficult, but the more admin-orientated things and the more detail-orientated things, whilst the artist is allowed to flourish in creating, is really needed.
Absolutely. What is the biggest misconception that you have found that artists have about having a manager or brand manager?
Why that nervous laugh? Okay, that's I think that management is the end all and be all and is able to fix everything and just make magic happen, and that we don't have relationships that we're managing, and that we're just out there for, or we don't understand them as artists and what it takes to be an artist. It's like, we get it. We 100% get it. But we also understand that we set out to achieve things together, and it takes what I bring to the table and it takes what you bring to the table for us to make things happen. And it's not as easy as just telling a client, oh no, he or she's not feeling well today, they can't come. It's like, there's so many things that it affects. If you're working with a FMCG brand, for example, any typical brand, and FMCG is fast-moving consumable goods. So think alcohol, think drinks, think chips, think chocolate. That's FMCG.
Yeah, fast-moving.
Any typical brand has 3 or 4 agencies. There's the lead creative agency, there's a digital agency, there's a PR agency, there's an event agency, there's the trade marketing team, besides the brand marketing team, and there's all of these different things that have a knock-on effect if you decide not to wake up on that day to come and do what you said you would do as an artist. And you tell your manager to just tell them, we'll pay them back. What? What do you mean? I got you this booking.
I have PTSD.
Bro. Or a booking at a festival you've always wanted to perform at. I get you that booking. And we fight for you to be on that lineup. And then you just go and not show up. And you just want us to pay them the money back as if they haven't marketed you for the past 2 months to sell tickets.
Yep.
What must they say to the thousands of people that have bought tickets to see you? No, the artist didn't want to come. What?
They're not feeling well today.
They're not feeling well today. Where's the doctor's note?
Where's the doctors?
Where is the statement from you, the artist, to cover the event from looking like they lied by promoting you as the talent that's performing so people can spend their money on the show? It's that things just happen. No, artists, things don't just happen. There are a lot of people involved in making things happen.
True. In your fixer opinion, like, do you believe in press statements? Do you believe in statements, like in releasing personal statements?
It depends. It really it depends on the type of relationship a talent has with their audience. If a talent is someone who consistently communicates with people and is always keeping them up to date with what's going on in their lives, or is engaging with them for a return and engagement, then I think it's absolutely warranted for talents to communicate with those people even when things are bad. It can't just be when you've got a bag, you know, that, okay, now I'm talking to you because I'm getting paid. It's got to be considerate of the relationship that you have with the people who are supporting your career and those who are haters on your career, either to keep these people on the journey with you to say, yo, I made a mistake. And unfortunately for me, people have found out. And I thought I could get away with it, but clearly not. And here's me showcasing myself to you as the human being that I am. And I know that the relationship we have as talent and audience is that of honesty. And I'm asking you to go with me on my journey of self-correction. On the other hand, there are some talents who find themselves in situations they actually have no business being in, but it's not their fault. They were just victims of circumstance. And sometimes then a statement is warranted to say, hey, here's my story and here's the role I played in this picture or in this movie that's playing out, but I can only say so much up to here. It is not my story to tell. I just happen to be there on the day. And I will allow the person who is at the center of Indaba to really let the information come to the fore the way that they wanted to. On the other hand, with just going crazy on Instagram and just writing things without like sense checking with other people, as if you don't have a team.
Because you don't always have access to that. This could be happening at 11 o'clock at night, and you are just.
It is happening at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
You wake up,
you are not there. You are not there. So petty phone because
they're angry.
Yeah,
and I get it. But now when a client calls you to say, "Why is this person posting this?" You're just like, "What do you mean? What do you?" And then you must now until you go and gather the information. As a manager, I think yours is to say, okay, let me go and gather the facts. I'll come back to you because I actually can't speak on behalf of the talent right now. I don't know what they're going through that made them reach a boiling point where they felt it was correct to shame you as the brand that has done them dirty. Then you go and you find out and you say, okay, here's where we are. Fine. If you can get them to take it down because there are certain informations that you're now offering or whatever the story is, then cool. But if the talent is standing on their feelings and what they feel to be correct, yours is to now find a way to make it make sense to the client if the client was wrong. But if the talent was wrong, you must call the talent out and be like, you're actually messing with the business, bro. This thing is wrong that you're doing. And I think the more successful artists have people who are able to call them out. Yeah. If you look at and I'm sorry to name names, but if you look at a Casper and Tilly, they've been together since 2013, 2014. That's a very long time to be with someone. And it is because they have such an honest relationship with each other where they can tell each other, the truth. Or you're doing really well here. I mean, I've booked Casper for things through Tilly, and I don't even have to get an answer I don't have to wait to get an answer. Tilly already knows what Casper would say yes or no to. Yeah. If you're asking him to do thing X, Tilly will tell you already, he ain't doing that. Yeah. But that's how much he knows his artist. And then there's other instances where Casper announced the date for Philip F&B. Pam going to Stonke. And Tilly was just like, what? What's happening? But because he has his back so much, it had to happen because the artist has spoken. So it is that there's a lot of objectivity, but also subjectivity in the favor of the talent that you are contracted to work with, so that, things work out for the greater good.
Okay, I hear that. Being a CEO to a creative agency and then obviously being a talent manager, right? Are there any advantages from owning a creative agency that spill over into talent management? Like, for instance, do your talent get do you put them on your proposals, for instance, from a corporate side?
That's really been the beauty of the ecosystem that we've built at Duma Collective. It's that we work with brand clients, we work with production companies, we work with event promoters, and then on the other hand, we work with talent. So for a brand, it helps to come to one agency and get a one-stop shop service where there's a through the line. You can book the talent from the agency. The PR and the storytelling is being done by the agency. The brand strategy is being done by the agency. The event booking is being done by the agency. There's one management fee. And also the agency then happens
there's one management fee.
There's one management fee.
That's a big thing, yeah.
One, but two, there's also less time being put in to execute the thing. Because in some traditional settings, an agency or a brand, like I mentioned, has 4 or 5 agencies, right? So the agency that's booking the talent, said PR agency, that's speaking to the talent management team, then has to come back and communicate the information to the brand management team, the brand agency. And then that has to be communicated to the digital agency. Then that has to be communicated to the event agency, where in a Duma Collective, there's been the benefit of it just being seamless. One account management team, and the information goes out and everything works together. On the other hand, and I know you didn't ask about the disadvantage of it, but I just want to offer that experience to say sometimes it works against the talent, so to speak, when you do offer them as talent that is fit for purpose, by the way, fit to the brand strategy, makes absolute sense to everything that you're working on. But because it's being presented by an agency that already services the client, it's seen as double dipping or some kind of nepotism, like I don't know what the friend version of nepotism is or the non-blood relative version of nepotism, but that kind of thing. Meanwhile, you're saying this person is absolutely fit for purpose for this thing and you can afford them and they will go the extra mile because it's an in-house thing. One side. Two, conflicts of interest, perceived conflicts of interest. It can be perceived that the agency that is doing something in one lane is not impartial with the other lane. And that goes back to my thing about when the talent is wrong, the talent is wrong. Or if the brand is wrong, then the brand is wrong. And on both sides, the talent can see the agency as protecting the brand, or the brand can see the agency as protecting the talent. So it can be good when it works, when everybody sees the benefit, when everybody's happy and KPIs are being smashed by the brand and the talent is invoicing on time. But it can get very difficult when you've got to stand in the middle and defend both sides. Mind you, these are not problems unique to South African agencies. Like agencies in the US, there was an example with Jay-Z who was releasing his book Decoded. And his agency was Droba 5, which is a really great, award-winning agency. But they were also servicing Microsoft, who they got to be the sponsor of the book launch. And now there's a power struggle to say, Jay-Z doesn't want Microsoft's logo to be too big. But Microsoft is saying, we are paying for this thing, so our logo must be big. Now, as the agency, who does Droba listen to? How do you manage that power struggle between the two entities? So it works when it works, and when it doesn't, it just sucks.
It's got its disadvantages.
Yeah.
So from that, you've evolved a lot in the industry within self and as an expert in what you do as well.
That's a big word.
It is a big word.
I'm still learning.
But in the experience that you've acquired, you have now pivoted into a different agency that you have. Do you want to take us through that?
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
When it was, like I said, when it was working really well. And then when it stopped working, I had to make a decision to say, as much as I enjoy working with these people who are my friends, who I see as my sisters and my brothers, for the interest of all and to be able to look at the bigger picture, I had to make tough decisions very quickly. So a Duma Collective made sense for us to kind of dissolve the talent management business unit to be able to focus on the service offerings that speak to corporate clients, FMCG, government departments, etc. Because there had to be a certain focus that was put on that without the distraction of still building the careers of really flourishing talent, right? Yeah. And with that, If you look at what's happened in the past 3 years, because I think it started happening about 3 years ago, and then the talent found new homes. Some of them started their own management businesses, etc. And all of this with our support. It was that we had to then make the announcement that Duma Collective no longer manages talent. Unfortunately, the industry that we work in doesn't have a vacuum to absorb all of this talent that requires management.
Yeah.
So seeing that with some other friends that also work in the industry, we decided that, okay, let's pool our knowledge, let's pool our resources, and open up. Open the cabinets. Who can I do this with?
Yeah.
And to be honest, it wasn't really my idea. It was one of my business partners' idea to say, let's pool the experience that we've garnered over these many years and open up a shop that is able to be 100% focused on talent management. So we've now started an agency called Golden Thread. It's so cool to be able to speak on it now because we've really taken our time to burn our fingers, make our mistakes, claim some successes, and learn a lot of things because now this is a specialist thing. You know, with Duma Collective, you're kind of fitting into different business units. Now this is a specialist agency where we're dealing with label services for music. So I'm even learning things like the difference between the master rights and the publishing rights on a song. And then there's the booking management, international bookings versus South Africa bookings. We're dealing in currency exchanges. We're dealing with visa applications, and you actually need to have 2 passports because whilst you're traveling on the one, your other passport needs to be in for a visa application, stuff like that. Brand building and the brand management and also the PR services around it. So that's what Golden Thread Africa Agency focuses on. So it's GTAA.
That is very exciting.
It's quite cute.
Very, very exciting.
There's talent that we started with that we're no longer with. And it's for those reasons that we're all learning. We had a legacy artist who has never had a manager and then started working with us. And then it just became like too jarring to have management.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't work out. And we broke up and it's cool. We'll book him for other things, but no love lost. And then we've had really young talent, like young talent, who just, like I say, won't wake up for a gig in Australia.
Yeah.
Like,
The challenges.
my brother, you have to go for this visa appointment, bro. Otherwise, we got to pay these people or they deposit money back. And those are not conversations we want to have. So the relationship just doesn't work out. And it is what it is. It is unfortunate, but we still support all the talent in the industry and we'll book them for other events. But we do have the talent that we're managing now. And the relationship is so good. It's so healthy. It really is fun. It's enjoyable and exciting.
Yeah.
So we've learned over the past couple of years. And then you also have people who are just like, oh, but you said you don't manage artists anymore. Yes. And we're like, Duma Collective don't manage artists, but
we're adding a new title on Sibu Mabena, which is Golden Thread. Yeah. What's next for you guys?
Continuing to learn, continuing to stabilize the team, continuing to get our structures and our processes right. Because guys, whilst this thing is fun and we're really not curing, we're not performing heart surgery.
Yeah.
We're really just trying to make successes off of talented people and do so whilst having fun. There is a business aspect to it and we've got to get that right. We've got to cross the T's, dot the I's, and take ourselves seriously as a South African entertainment industry in order to export this amazing talent that we have here. And if we don't have entities like To The Max, like a Golden Thread, like V Squared, like T Squared, with Tutu, like 1020 Cartel with Notando, with T Effect, and there's so many great companies who are really doing their best to package talent, Lock Communications, to really package talent to the world,
send them to the world
in a way that is on par with how the world is packaging talent to us. We have to take that responsibility seriously. And then you also have people just taking chances and lying to their talent that they are managing, or just not responding to emails, or not having high-res images to send, or not having, just like basic things. I really wish that people could approach this responsibility of helping South African talent self-actualize and become successful seriously.
Yeah.
Because we actually cannot be playing games anymore. We can't afford it. There's too much talent dying poor because people are not taking the responsibility of management seriously. So what is next for GTAA is really that refining our offering and being able to be best in industry alongside the other best, because there's enough space and room for all of us to be the best. And signing talent that is going to help us achieve our objectives and not us being or seeing ourselves as the saviors for, because there's a lot of talent out there that is wishing to have management. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people we say not now to. And I know, you experience it. A lot of people, I even ask you to manage people.
Yes, you do.
And I send you emails and say, oh, that's a great person, please take them. But unfortunately, you can't because you only have so many hours, all 24 of them. All 24 are being dedicated to the people that you're currently managing. And
also learning,
and
trying
learning.
to figure out the systems, the processes, and trying to grow as well.
Exactly.
And if you're growing too quickly and you've got your fingers in too many pies, it becomes very difficult.
And everyone wants your attention.
Yeah, there's a compromise somewhere.
On the client side, on the talent side, people want untando.
Yes.
And the industry does need to give you the room and give us the room to grow and build capacity to a level where we can speak like the CAAs and the WMAs or WMEs of the world, where you're scrolling on our website, A, B, C, D, E, up to Z. There's talent up to Z on their pages, but that's because they have hundreds of agents, hundreds of managers, legal teams,
figured out the formula,
publicity teams, but they've been doing it for many years. We just arrived.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to open your cabinet.
Mine.
Yours.
Girl, I just got back from Harvard. What do you think my cabinet looks like?
Exactly. That is exactly why I need to open up that cabinet.
No, that's
you
awkward.
come from Harvard. Who is the most influential, powerful person that is in your phone book that you can video call? FaceTime right now.
That's weird.
It's perfect.
No, we don't video call for people to be on podcasts.
Like, we want to know. We want to know what the tea is. Who do you have there that you can call and say, hey, Sibu, I'm just saying, hey.
Oh my God, that's weird. Okay. Okay, I do have my phone behind me. Sorry, guys. It's not that I don't take you guys seriously.
It's that you always have your phone.
Okay, but my phone is on airplane mode, so I'm going to take it off airplane mode. Let's
Getting
see.
into Sibu Mabena's cabinet, guys.
Let's see who's willing to answer a call.
From Sibu.
I'm not calling any of my people in the West because our time zones are a little tricky and people are in offices and at work. And just like me, I hate phone calls. So
Do you prefer text?
I'm a texter, bro, because I'm speaking to a lot of people at the same
I'm
time.
a texter as well.
Okay, let's see.
But on a personal capacity, definitely phone. Phone me, please.
Ooh, child. See, if someone tried to call me right now, I've missed their call. You understand? Okay, let me call. He's gonna be so mad at me because he's in Nigeria right now. Do I call on WhatsApp? Okay, let me try.
The best place.
I mean, I do look cute though.
You do. Very
But he's
cute.
like a brother to me, so he'd be like, why are you wearing so much makeup? Okay, whilst we wait for hi! Who is it?
What up, homie?
So I'm on Tando's podcast and she's challenged me to call the most powerful person I have in my phone book. So I had to narrow down the search to someone who would answer because they're in my time zone. Even though you're not in South Africa, please tell everyone where you are.
Hello.
Goodness.
Hey, how are you? Welcome to More Than Management.
Thanks for having me. I can guarantee you, Sibu probably has a lot more powerful people in a phone book. But yeah, what up, homie? You good?
Let me qualify it. So this is the head of legal at Sony Africa. And that means that he really is influential in making sure that African talents are liberated and are able to, become businesses in and of themselves with the music that they put out there in the world. He's really protective over how they monetize their crafts. Yeah. He's been very influential in some of the biggest artists coming out of South Africa, really being exported to the world. So I think that's what qualifies him as a super powerful person.
Yeah, absolutely.
In industry, but just in my life, he's my prayer warrior. You know, like he's really done a lot to encourage me to be where I'm at today. And I've known him for over 15 years. And he's match fixed quite a few things for Duma Collective. Yeah. And piano is what it is today, partially because of his contribution to it being packaged as the business of piano right now.
Please tell the guests exactly who he is.
This is Katleho Malachi, founder of Homecoming Events and head of legal at Sony and many other things that I cannot speak about right now. But yeah, that's one of the most powerful people in my kitchen cabinet because he is the one person away from any person signed to Sony. I can get to Mariah Carey through Katleho Malachi right now. Okay.
That is powerful.
Why are you on this show, Sibu?
Because I'm here to speak on your behalf and be your publicist. I live to amplify all the great things you do. Okay, enjoy Nigeria. Love you loads. Bye.
Download, stream,
Subscribe.
Yes, don't forget to subscribe.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. That was incredible. That was so perfect. Thank you so much.
I can't believe you got me to do that. I can't believe you answered.
I can't believe it.
Jeez.
It's Sibu Mabena that's calling. Please be serious. Thank you so much, Sibu, for coming to my home. This was absolutely perfect. I had the most wonderful time. There's so much more we can talk about, honestly.
Yeah.
We can go on for 2-3 hours. How we can make that happen. But Sibu's all about collaboration, and I love that so much about her. You literally put us in the room all the time, different people all the time, you know, and it's one of the attributes that I really, really enjoy about you, and just how the contribution that you've made to the culture, you know.
Yeah.
You're about it, you're for it.
Thank you.
It's not a joke. It's very serious to you, and I love that. Any artist that is managed by you is truly blessed. And guys, don't forget, this is More Than Management. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.
Thank you.